everyone. Welcome to the Gooners podcast, season 5, episode, 78, the final chapter to this season and the open mic postgame show. And I am tired mic today, not open mic today. I'm friggin' mentally, emotionally, physically exhausted. Lack of sleep last night didn't help. But you know what? We're 5 undefeated. And that's all I can say about that. So lots of topics to talk about today. It'll probably be a shorter than usual show because of my fatigue. And I think a general fatigue in the fan base as well. So happy St. Everington's Day, everybody. We missed out on the other one that we could have potentially celebrated. That hurts a bit, but all this Ancelotti talk in October, you can put it in your pipe and smoke it. I was begging to make bets for charity that we would finish ahead of Everton this season when we were 9 points behind them in the first couple of months of the season, and nobody could step up to the plate except for one person who was talking a lot of shit on Twitter and then got her account suspended. So I can't even give her any kind of stick anymore over that. So a lot of other things that we could be talking about today. We got fans back in the stadium. Great to see that. Today's lineup, of course, is always a topic that we can talk about. Josh Kroenke showing up at the game. We believe that's Josh Kroenke. A little weird seeing him in a very unusual environment, but he was there to preside over our official departure from Europe in football. A protest. Now, I was sleeping pregame. I pretty much woke up a few minutes before the game, and I've heard very little about the protest today. So if anybody has ears on the ground over there that wants to kind of let us know how that went, I'd appreciate hearing more about it. We can talk about Martin Odegaard. We can talk about Thomas Partey actually almost hitting the frame. In fact, hitting the frame, I believe, in one case. And we can talk about Joe Willock, Yves Bissouma. Impressive performance from him today. How being out of Europe next season might affect our ability to see some of the people that have gotten into our squad, see that next generation of people, your Balligans and Martinellis and Azizes. Are they going to have trouble getting on the pitch next season as a result of the opposite of fixture congestion? So to get us started, we're going to have on Rich. Rich is in the house now. Again, is that the Willian shirt?
It is the Willian shirt.
Is this a tribute to thank you for the memories, Willian?
Exactly.
But it's time to go.
Right. That's exactly what it is. It's like, enjoy Miami. I hope you have fun there. As I enjoy the great outdoors at the campground.
As a guy who spent a lot of time in Miami, having family down there and a wife that's from there, it's a lovely place, really. I mean, Willian should definitely go.
I mean, the hair should fit in down there.
Yeah, exactly. He's the style. I mean, maybe he takes Bellerin with him. Maybe Paris is a bit much for Bellerin, and Miami might be more his style. So, Rich, what's on your mind today? What do you? I mean, there's so many different things that we could be talking about, and it just feels literally. I didn't expect to feel so exhausted, and it's not just lack of sleep. It's like, oh my God, it's actually over.
We did what we had to do. It all fell to other people, and unfortunately, Leicester once again shits the bed. I mean, they did it last year to finish the season. They did it today. I mean, they were up 2-1. All we needed.
They were up 1-0. They were up 1-0. They were up 2-1. Yeah.
Don't lose 4-2. That's all we needed was a draw. But whatever, now Tottenham gets to go to these places in Europe we've never heard of, and we can stay home on Thursday nights and focus on finishing in the top 4.
Yeah. We've seen it in recent years. We've seen how Liverpool dealt with a season out. We've seen how Chelsea dealt with a season out, and there's reason to be optimistic there, so long as we are able to accomplish what we need to accomplish, team-wise and unity-wise and preparation-wise, and stop showing up to games thinking that we've got them won and not put any kind of effort into it. So that's going to be the story of the season. Next season is, can we have the preparation and the game plan and execute it against teams that, I mean, the points we dropped against teams in the bottom half of the table this season is really, really scary.
Well, that and the points we dropped from VAR screwing us over.
Yeah, that's true. We need to enter the no VAR ESL FA Cup check a trade trophy next season, because we could definitely win that. All the things that go against us would be removed.
But I think summer moves. There are guys that need to go. Bellerin, I hate to say it, he needs to go.
I don't hate to say it.
Well, I've got his name on the back of one of my shirts, so I hate to see but then again, Willock. But no, I mean there are guys that need to go. I mean, and everybody's calling Xhaka out. I was like, no. Granted, I made a comment about he should be a squad player. You said he can't be a squad player. Fine, I'll agree to disagree, but I think he's.
I'm not saying he's not capable of it. I'm saying I don't think it would just from a chemistry standpoint. I don't know that works.
I know, but he's a guy we kind of need to keep, because let's say we bring somebody in to go with next to Partey, and welcome to Arsenal, you're hurt bug hits once again, because how many times did we have that happen this year? He's a guy we need to have. So, but I mean, El Neni, he can go. Willian, yeah, here's the door. Thanks for the shirt. See you later.
Don't thank him for the shirt. Thank me.
Well, no, I'm thanking you for the shirt. But no, hey, he scored. He got the assist. On that.
He had something to do with. Yeah, I think he got 2 assists that day, and I only have 2.
Yeah,
I didn't even set the bar that high. I was just like 1 assist, 1 goal, or we win. And yeah.
That's what happens when you have a 7 a.m. Eastern time start and you start drinking at 6, because you look at the team sheet and go, "What is this?"
That is what happens. We have proof of that.
But I mean, there are guys that need to go. There are guys that need to stay. I mean, Leno. Okay, yeah, I can see keeping him. I mean, I'm not going to say that keeping him over Martinez was the best move, but I'm not going to say it was a worse move. I mean, I don't know that Martinez wins us any more games than Leno did.
Oh, we finished ahead of Villa at the table. I don't.
Maybe one.
The eye test is. I mean, we should finish ahead of Villa at the table, no matter how good or bad their goalkeeper is. But the eye test, I didn't watch enough Aston Villa games. The only times I ever watched Martinez was in the exact same back and forth. Oh, Martinez made a mistake. Leno would have saved that. Leno made a mistake. Martinez had a clean sheet today. I mean, it's been so fun just trolling that entire narrative. But look, you can't compare goaltenders on different teams and talk about who would necessarily be better, with a very few exceptions in my mind. It matters how the players in front of him feel about playing in front of him. It matters that you don't just make routine awful mistakes like handling the ball 14,000 yards outside of your own penalty area, or kicking it directly to the other team 2 feet in front of your goal. I mean, those things you got to cut down on. So I don't know. I mean, selling Leno and bringing in another goalie, if it's going to end up costing us a ton of money, I don't know that that's where I devote too much of my energy this summer. But I wouldn't be devastated if it happens.
We need cover at left back. Cedric. I'm sorry, that was a terrible signing. I really think that was one of the worst signings that they've made in the last year and a half. I mean, they sign him, they bring him in, he doesn't play for the entire end of last season. Comes in and during Project Restart, he's okay, and then can't find the team with Tierney hurt, and we're playing Granit Xhaka at left back, and Callum Chambers at right back. Why did you sign Cedric?
If we bring in cover for Tierney, then Cedric's value becomes much, much lower, because Cedric's real value is that he can play left or right. Now I know he's made some mistakes on the left, but I'd rather Chambers at right back than Cedric right now as a backup to whoever we buy to play right back.
Right. Yeah. We should bring in a right back. We need to bring in cover for left back. I think in central defense we're good. We've got I'm not saying we have world beaters. I mean, it's not Tony Adams and it's Holding and Gabriel and Mari and maybe Saliba. Okay, yeah, we're all right there. We need a midfielder. On the attack, I think we're everybody's like talking Grealish. All right, where do you put Grealish in this team? Where do we put a Jack Grealish
wherever the hell he wants to play
right now? I understand that, but where who do we put on the bench to put him on the field? Do we put Saka on the bench? Do we put Smith Rowe on the bench? Martinelli. It just turns into one of those. It's like, who?
Yeah,
do
but
we,
with 2 games a week. Oh wait, no.
I mean, it's like, all right, yeah, okay, we bring Jack Grealish in, that's great, but now who are we not playing because we brought Jack Grealish in? It's one of those.
It's going to be Leo Messi that we don't play.
Leo Messi.
He's going to have to wait his turn.
He's only going to be 10. We got to give him at least another year until he's 11.
He's 8 until he's 10. Apparently,
he's got to get some size.
So you're clearly in the mindset. Interesting. I mean, just noticing that you're not too focused on today's game. You're already thinking about next year. You're already thinking about who should stay and who should go. And I think that probably is the case with most Gooners at this point.
It was a good game today. I enjoyed the game. I will admit I was scoreboard watching.
Yeah.
I had the game on the laptop here at the campground. I had my phone with the Leicester Tottenham game scored on the screen, and I'm like, I was more scoreboard watching than watching the game.
So pardon me if I don't remember, because I know I've asked similar questions on the last couple of open mics, and you've joined us for them, but happier avoiding Conference League than you are upset that we didn't finish in front of Tottenham, or the other way around?
I believe that I made the comment that I would rather Everton have won, we won, and Tottenham lost, so we didn't have to go to those strange places in Europe. No one has ever.
You were looking for 8th. You
right. I was happy with 8th.
7th, but as long as we could be ahead of.
I was happy with 8th ahead of Tottenham. I guess I'll be happy with 8th, not going to strange places in Europe that nobody ever's heard of.
Considering the options that were available with 1 week to go in the season, I don't want someone to take that out of context and say that you're happy with 8th.
No,
you gotta be careful what you say on camera.
That's true.
Days.
Somebody might just totally rip me apart for that. No, yeah. I mean, now had we had a chance to finish 6th, hey, I'd have jumped all over 6th because at least the Europa League, we kind of know what that's all about until we get to the semifinals against an Unai Emery coach team and forget to show up.
We can start looking at some of those individual games earlier in the season that we came out and looking at the fact that what are we 6 points behind Champions League places? It really was there for the taking even with this squad. So that's what gives me optimism next season is that as poorly as we squandered, and we're gonna move on to Lawrence after this, but as poorly as we have squandered opportunities this season, we still, the league itself played out in a way where it cost us this season, but we have the opportunity to rectify those things, and we can pretty much identify exactly what those things are and move on for next season, focusing on them, both personnel-wise and tactically. And if Arteta can't take the script that he has in front of him that's pretty much been written for him now, if he can't take that and act it out next season, then he shouldn't be our coach. Right.
We need to beat those teams that we should beat. And unfortunately this year, we didn't do that for most of the games.
We need a player. We need a dressing room, both player and coach, that can get us amped up for every game as they were able to get amped up for about 20% of the games this season, and that's the missing piece. That involves talent, mentality. It involves upgrading in both of those areas with certain players, but it's a chemistry experiment, and I think really that's all. That's most of what it's going to take, but. I don't know if we're going to do any kind of open mic shows over the summer. We probably will. Probably tie in Gooners versus Cancer somehow into that. I just want to say before I even forget to do that I'm very appreciative to those who have already generously donated to Gooners versus Cancer. We are off and running. We're already 5% of our way to last year's total, with only 4 or 5 days into the thing so far. So truly appreciate the generosity of people and look forward to that continuing. So, Rich, great to see you. We're going to bring on Lawrence.
Absolutely.
Take care. And again, keep us posted on the retirement of that jersey and how it lives in retirement, or if it.
I'm staring at a campfire right now, and the shirt's not going in there. So
okay. I was going to say if it goes down in flames, if it's just retired into the closet, if it's used for,
it may end up in the closet, but
it could be shredded shirt. And it can be shredded and given away as bonus prizes in Gooners versus Cancer this season, I think. So.
I'll steam off the Willie on letters and put whoever gets the number 12 shirt next year.
We did that with my son's Nasri jersey. We had the Nasri taken off and Arteta put on in weird non-matching letters, unfortunately, back at that point. But
some red tape with a black magic marker. Yeah,
exactly. Like a professional would do. All right, buddy.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Absolutely.
Take care, Rich.
Later.
Speaking of somebody who's thrilled with 8th place, probably not. Okay, so 8th place that last season, 8th place this season. I think we finished 5 points ahead last season, and 61 points would have gotten 5th place in last season. Does any of that matter to you?
Before I answer your question, Mike, can I mention a couple of things?
Absolutely.
First of all, as you can see by what's underneath me, I want to thank Steve Bould for his service to the club. And I'm absolutely disgusted at the way the club have just treated him like shit and given him his pink slip. What a way to treat a legend. He's part of the team that won the league in 89 and 91 and part of the double team with 98. A true legend. He took over.
I agree with you about that. I'm just curious would you have recommended not letting him go and letting him coach continually, or is it more about the way it was done?
Just the way it was done, it's just like he took over from Pat Rice as first team coach, and Arsene Wenger treated him like shit because he wouldn't take any advice to improving the defense. And as I said, the way he's been treated, I'm not happy. I mean, he never got a testimonial game for one thing, for his services to the club whatsoever. He's been at the club for 30 years, right? And this is the way they say thank you to him. Totally unprofessional, and shame on you, Arsenal. The other thing, I'm not going to talk much about it, but do you know Mo from Arsenal Fan TV?
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard what happened, right? Yeah, but I mean, apparently Mo seems to forget that Arsenal Fan TV is a platform to talk about football, not to talk about political opinions. And for the what he did to Robbie and stabbing him in the back, and try and use Robbie's channel so to promote his political cause. Good riddance to the guy. If he wants to do that, he should open up his own political, own YouTube channel. So Mo Hader, see that? All right, now sorry about it.
I'm not taking sides on that one. I honestly don't know enough about it. I've heard about it, and this is an open mic pod, so I'm not gonna drive the conversation towards or away any topic that you guys want to talk about.
I just wanted to mention it because I'm totally disgusted by both of those things. They really have made me angry.
Fair enough.
So, I mean, to me, there's been no progress. I mean, we finished 8th last year. We finished 8th this year. So, I haven't seen anything that's exciting me, as Josh would say. I mean, what cost us was that period between October and November, where we kept losing home games to Leicester and Wolves and Burnley and Villa. And then I think about the goals we gave away, like Granit Xhaka passing the ball to the Burnley striker. If those games had gone the other way, who knows? I'm not saying we'd have finished in the Champions League. We might have been in the Europa League again. Who knows?
Yeah, but this is where the psychology comes into it. I agree with everything you're saying, Lawrence. I mean, we missed opportunities both in the moment and now looking back on it, that with the way things ended up, it wouldn't have taken too many of those opportunities. Maybe we had, 8 ridiculously absurd, and there were probably more than 8, but 8 games that we easily should have won and not only didn't win, but in some cases actually lost. Any 2 of those go a different direction and we're in Europe, and any 3 of those and we're maybe in Europe in the real competition. But at this point in time, it's done. It's like a sunk cost. And people deal with sunk cost a little bit differently, both in finance and in the real world from an emotional standpoint. And I just, it was bad, but I don't think it's bad and getting worse. I think the much debated, table since Boxing Day and table before Boxing Day discussion where people either fall on one side of the discussion or the other as far as whether they think there is any relevance to that at all. I happen to think there's a lot of relevance to it. It doesn't get us anything, but it tells me that I think we're at least hopefully heading in a direction that is positive rather than in the direction that we were headed previously, where we were continuing to slip down. That's my hope. I can't do anything to change this season. I'm not going to tell anybody else to be, happy and excited and thrilled, because that's not my role. It's not my job. But personally, I'm now turning to, like Rich was talking about before, I'm turning to what can we do in the next 3 months, so that 3 months from now, when we're watching this team take the pitch for the second time in a brand new season where we've got one competition to worry about, at least until January, I'm interested. I'm excited. I'm plugged in.
Yeah. It looks like they're going to. It looks like they're going to sign that Basuma, because the way he was talking to Pepe after the game, because it looked like he was showing him around the stadium.
That would be beautiful. I mean, people have been talking about him all season, and I have, I don't watch a tremendous amount of. I've got a lot to do, so I don't watch a tremendous amount of football that doesn't involve Arsenal unless I'm in a rare situation or on vacation or something like that. But so I don't, I didn't watch too much of Brighton this season, but hell, he was the only thing they had going for them today, and he's the real deal.
I mean, I can see him fitting into the midfield alongside Partey. No problem whatsoever.
I think that would be perfect, and then that brings up the whole question about what do you do with a Granit Xhaka if you're bringing in Basuma?
Get rid of him.
Well, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. But
get rid of him.
You've almost then got to bring in someone else as well to either improve upon El Neni, to bridge the gap until Aziz, as a second option in that situation. Because keep in mind, Partey's not going to be healthy for the entire season either. If this last year was any indication, I hope he will be. But so we're gonna move over to Aston now. We've got 4 people actually beyond you, Lawrence, in the chat, and that's about that should take us through to about 3 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock UK. So, Lawrence, good to have you on the last couple times. We'll try to do some stuff over the summer. There's lots of cool things that are going to be happening over the summer, and we hope you'll be involved in it. And if not, I'll see you in the same old Arsenal USA chat room.
There you go.
And banter you for your capital letters, buddy.
All right.
Have a good
Mike,
one.
Thanks again. You too, Mike. Bye.
All right. Next, joining us is a man whose cachet in the Arsenal podcasting community is growing ever stronger every day.
Hey guys,
Aston, you've got the Highbury squad coming calling for you now, I'm being told, and Super Kev's like your buddy now, and
it's all because of you. I learned from you. You put me in the places, and I took the opportunity. I can't. I am the Giroud. You are the Ozil. Okay.
Well, please don't ever say that again.
Hey, but we weren't. I know.
Saying I got fucked up looking eyes. Is that what you're telling me?
Oh God, no. But I noticed a lot of people aren't talking about the game, and the one thing I did want to kind of bring up about the game is Pepe is a bad man. Like, can we like? I mean, I love that he's feeding off the energy from the team, and you can see it too. One of the biggest things I think nobody's talking about is when ESR came off and Xhaka came on. Pepe stood on the right side and said, "This is my spot." He looked at Xhaka and said, "No, I'm playing here." And I love that energy, and I love that fight that we're seeing in Pepe. And I think that's going to be great for the future. You know what I mean? When we have really hungry players, not like a Theo Walcott who used to just like be satisfied with running up and down the pitch on the right side for like 90 minutes and that's it. You know what I mean?
Hopping over challenges and tackles and stuff like that. Like he could have been like a hurdler. He could have been like the Ronaldo Nehemiah of Arsenal, but
he always seemed more like an athlete to me. But I'm also here to burst a few bubbles. I see you guys out there in chat saying things like we don't need Jack Grealish. I think that you guys are all rubbish and have terrible opinions.
There you go.
Jack Grealish is absolutely elite. He's on the next, like, we need a Bruno Fernandes, right? Jack Grealish is a guy that plays in the Premier League that gets better numbers than Bruno Fernandes. Why would you ever think that he wouldn't improve our team?
So the next logical part of that question, because I don't question the truth in what you're saying at all, but the question that Rich, I guess, asked early is, say we bring him in at significant cost. Who takes the step back to make room for him? And to even ask that question somewhat implies that I think that our starting 11 is impervious to being improved upon, which is ridiculous. But
yeah, and I think everybody thinks in very binary terms. Jack Grealish can play. I'm back. Jack Grealish can play as a 10, but he's also got the ability to play as an 8, a little more reserved, or he can play on the wing as well. And you're talking about ESR, who can play on the wing, can play inside, can play as an 8. So instead of thinking in such binary, we've got 2 pivots and a number 10 in front, we could play Partey in the center of a Grealish and an ESR and absolutely destroy this league.
I guess the answer to who Grealish replaces is Odegaard.
Yeah. I mean, that's the real answer is Odegaard. But I don't think we're getting him anyway. I really think that Madrid's going to kind of try to shake up their team and bring Odegaard in. I think Odegaard's done more than enough work to show his value to them. So I really don't imagine we're going to get him.
I think the closest thing that would happen would be a potential for another loan if Madrid goes big with bringing in new players. Like I think he's on the verge of being good enough to start in that squad, with some of their aging players that are in front of his position. But maybe next season,
actually most squads. I think Odegaard's extremely underrated. He plays in teams that aren't very good, and he shines in them as a creative hub. And I think that gets very, very much understated. I'd love to have him on a permanent. I just don't think it's going to happen. Also, Buendia. Actually, Buendia, maybe. I'm not a huge fan of Buendia. I'm going to be honest. I really think that he gets most of his stats padded a little bit about being a set piece taker is one of the biggest things with him. And also, I'm not really convinced by Basuma. When I look at Basuma's numbers, I think he's great, but he's another Partey. And I think Partey's great. Don't get me wrong. 2 Parteys would be great. Don't get me wrong here. But what we really need is somebody that's a bigger ball winner, a more high pressure player. Camavinga is obviously what everybody's going to talk about. But I mean, if we could get either of the boys from Lyon, the Guimero or what is his name, Croquet. I don't know how to pronounce it right. But if we could get either of them too, like that would transform our midfield. I really don't think we need another Partey.
Sorry, I'm just talking to your buddy Kevin.
Oh, Kevin, bring him on. I bet
Kevin goes to the front of the line. If he'd like to be on, we'll bring him on. But what I'm going to do though, because we now have 5 people that are waiting beyond you, is I'm going to swap you out because like Mike said, Mike Hers, who could be on the podcast, but everyone in this house is sleeping right now. He thinks it's going to your head. Where's the Aston Mac gets on a pod, starts attacking everybody. Fame has gone to the man's head.
Listen, I'm mad with power. Let me tell you, you need to take me down a couple of pegs at least.
Seriously, when he was in my hotel room doing the after the postgame show, we had this conversation, and he sat himself. He took a chair and he put it on top of a table and sat in it like a throne.
I was like Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Mike was trying to tell me when and where to be, and I said, "No, I play this my way."
All right, buddy. Well, you've been a revelation, and we're gonna still be doing some stuff over the summer. We'll be talking to you plenty, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Love you, Mike.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right. Next to join us is a man, and I know what the guy wants before he even has to ask. So we're gonna probably be talking about this guy, but there. Oh my God. Hold on. I want to give a big shout out to Sebi, because Sebi's the one that made all of those pictures of Jay Leno, I almost said, but of Bird Leno, and just a phenomenal guy. And I will take this opportunity, Dan. I hope you don't mind me cutting into your spot a little bit, but I'm going to bring in a guy who has some opinions as well.
I don't want to do the Aston.
Oh wait, hold on, no. Super Kev Campbell. What do we? There it is.
Wow.
Boom.
How are you, Magic Mike? How are you? Hi, Dan. How are you? You all right, guys?
Great. Such a pleasure to be on with you. What a legend.
No problem.
It's the Magic and Super show right now, co-starring Dan. So, who do we? I mean, Kev, do you have you got? I listened and watched, 99% until I had to leave of your post-game show. Great discussions, topics today. Anything you want to particularly bring up? Is this a Pepe based appearance?
Well, really, no. I just think, look, we've seen Pepe improve. We've seen him put the work in and start to get a lot more confidence. We've seen him start to get a lot more consistent in his performance. The first goal today was sensational, wasn't it? The left foot, and usually he only stands on his right, but he's confident enough to swing it. And that second goal was amazing. The way he threaded the eye of the needle with that finish. But I want to speak in general about the snapshot of, we have been awful a lot of this season. But you know what, Mike? I've said it the other day. If someone would have said to me in the last 23, 24 games that we were second in the form league, I wouldn't have believed you. And I keep hearing a lot of Arsenal fans talk about, we've made no progress. Well, Arsenal being second at anything at the moment is progress. Because we have been, there is times where we've been awful this season. So I think what I want to put out there is, we need, this summer's transfer window, we need to plug the gaps of the weak spots of this squad. Because remember, Gabriel's going to be a year better and wiser. He'll improve. Thomas Partey will be better for having his first season. Kieran Tierney will be better next season. Xhaka will be better next season. ESR will be better next season. But there are still certain gaps in this team that need to be plugged.
And they have the money now, because I bought the shirt, and so now we should be flush with cash to make the kind of deals that we need to make. Kevin, Drew Thompson, a friend of ours, that pointed out that, if the impetus that had led to our last 24 games, the Boxing Day and since, had been the sacking of a coach and the replacement with a new one, a la the way Thomas Tuchel came in and resurrected their season, we'd be talking about this new guy that led us to second in the form table with this squad over the last 5 months as like the next coming of George Graham and Arsene Wenger combined. I mean, we'd be big upping this guy, yet that guy happens to be Mikel Arteta.
The novice who's learning on the job.
Yeah,
which I understand. And you know what, Mike? I think because he took over when he took over, COVID kicked in and the season was broken up, and he made a difference in the FA Cup. We won the FA Cup and it was brilliant. Everybody thought, right, here we go, we've turned the corner. But football doesn't work like that. There are certain fundamentals that you have to do. Mikel Arteta wasn't just brought in to improve the squad. He was brought in to get rid of the cancers in the dressing room, because that cancer are the ones who actually got Unai Emery sacked.
Yeah. Yep.
So he does that, he gets them out, and it takes a bit of time. And have you noticed, ever since he got them out, we've slowly started improving. Have I noticed? I only point that out every opportunity I get. Dan, I want to bring you into this because, I mean, this it's half a mask for my lack of tactical nous, and it's half because I actually believe this, that, it's a chemistry experiment that Arsenal's in right now. It more so than it is not to the exclusion of player talent, but it's about getting rid of bad apples, bringing in good apples, figuring out what apples need to be put next to which apples, and turning it into apple juice or whatever we want to call success. But Dan, do you think this season's 8th place finish is just completely down to Mesut Ozil?
The thing is, we have, as Kevin said, we've been so good since since Emil Smith-Rowe came on, since Christmas. And you can really, there is an improvement with Arteta. Yeah, we've been losing. We lost against Wolves and Tottenham earlier on. But we have the players, and one good apple for next season, and I'd love to know your opinion, is Joe Willock, because he's just firing. He's firing for Newcastle. And I think if we didn't own him and we were linked with Joe Willock, we'd all be trying to get Josh Kroenke and calling him up and saying, sign Joe Willock. Surely. So surely we have to give him a chance. Well, Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a really good discussion, because I often talk about players going on loan to learn their trade. And it's very difficult to learn your trade at Arsenal. Why? Because there's so much pressure, especially when the team ain't playing well. When the team aren't playing well, it's hard for a youngster to come in and really make a difference. But Joe Willock's probably gone to Newcastle. Not a lot is expected of him. Obviously, they need to get themselves going to stay in the division. And he can play with a freedom. Don't forget, some of his goals are not when he started. Some of his goals are when he came off the bench.
I don't know.
But the fact of the matter is, Dan, sorry, I just want to make this point. I think it's really important. He made an impact when he started, and he's made an impact from the substitute bench. What he couldn't do for us. Is it because we're not a good team? No, because we're not playing well enough. But maybe he was given the license to do what he does best. Keep getting in that box. Because that's what he's good at. He's like a Ramsey type. He'll keep getting in that box and getting in where it matters. And if he keeps getting in there, he will score because he's good.
I don't know if you saw Willock's goal today, but it was probably goal of the season. You've just ran the whole pitch and scored. And we need someone like that who can drive. And I thought kind of that was Thomas Partey, but he doesn't seem to be what I thought he'd be. He's quite slow on the ball, and maybe he needs someone next to him. I don't know if Joe Willock can play in that kind of holding role with Partey, but Joe Willock, you get him the ball. He just drives, and that's, I think, what he needs. Get balls into the box. If we've got Tierney on the left, if we get even Callum Chambers does a job on the right, we've got a good team next season. A few additions, and I think we're again top 4 candidates. We just need a good summer.
Summer's the key. And let me tell you something. Thomas Partey needs a partner who could get about the pitch. I was watching Basuma today, and I'm just thinking, I'm just thinking, could you imagine him beside Thomas Partey? Because you know what would happen, Dan? You think Thomas Partey can't do that. He can do it, but the problem is we've got nobody to cover. He's been told Xhaka can't get up and down the pitch. Xhaka's a good continuity player. He can pick the ball up. He could keep the ball. He's good like that. But you never see him going past the strikers into the box. He can't do that. That's not his game. We need somebody beside Thomas Partey. Then we can release Thomas Partey.
And Basuma could be perfect.
He would be perfect because you know what? He tackles. He's a tackling machine. He'll recover that ball, and he's so hungry, and he's a good player. He's a really good, and he's got a big engine. So a player like him, I would love to sign him. But if we don't sign him, somebody like that.
Someone else that's very different, a kind of different style, is Sander Berge from Sheffield United, which I, maybe not to start, but to have him in the team, I think he's such a good option. He could kind of be our Souček for West Ham. Squad player.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Squad player.
I really like him, and I think if we have a good set piece taker, he could be on the end of those. I mean, he's huge.
Yeah, I think our squad. I mean, if you added, you bring Willock back, you added Basuma, Berg, Ceballos is gone, isn't he? Xhaka will probably throw his toys out the pram. He'll probably want to leave because he's not going to play. So. Because he's not going to play. But I still think we would be a lot stronger. Then you could keep El Neni then.
I like El Neni.
Because El Neni, he'll play, he'll give you a game now and again, but you don't need him to be the guy. you've got people in front of him, and then he'd be happy to sit there and play when he can. But you've got more quality. There's more depth there. There's more Premiership-ready players. That's the key. Premiership-ready. Ceballos isn't Premiership-ready. And he's done okay last season, but...
Yeah, he's had moments. He's had moments,
but he's again not consistent enough. Spanish football suits him. So,
Dan, we're gonna move on. Kev, I'm not gonna do to you what I did last time, where I'm gonna let you tell me.
I'll tell you. Don't worry. I'm looking at the clock. Don't worry. I'm looking at the clock. Don't worry. I'll tell you.
There are a few people that would love to, more than a few people that would love to get in and chat with you. So, Dan, appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Kevin, what an absolute pleasure it's been to
no
be
problem, Dan. You take care and keep supporting the Arsenal, mate.
Always,
hopefully next season, we can get the squad together and we'll be happy. Take care, mate.
And we'll do it with an ostrich in goal.
Yeah.
Did you show Kev your phone lock screen? It's
God.
All right, we're gonna bring on. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it, buddy.
Cheers, Dad.
We're gonna bring on two folks who want to talk to you. One of them seems to be out and about and eating right now.
He was at the game today, Fergus, wasn't he?
Hello, Kev. How are you, mate?
Hi, Fergus. How are you, mate? Big Steve, how are you?
You're right, mate. Yeah, good.
Kev,
hope you
you are not going to believe it. Trev bought a beer.
Get out! He was eating.
No, he did.
Did I see a picture of like 8 Fosters on a picnic
Guinness.
table?
No, Guinness.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
We're in the Woodbine. I'm actually
an
on
awful
Highbury
thing to
Corner. And I'm sitting here having a kebab, and some girl has got to come up and talk to me. Hello, do you want to say hello?
Hello. How are you?
I don't know who she is.
No, he does. You know who I am.
They're your friends.
No, you're on the internet.
Are they your mates?
You're live on the internet.
They don't have a clue, do they? They don't have a
This
clue.
is the first time that a grandpa ever got action.
See over there, look.
Oh my God.
That's Kevin Campbell, ex-Arsenal footballer. Kevin, you've never frightened people off.
Hey, listen, I usually have that effect on women. I have that effect.
No, you can leave my phone alone.
I miss.
We're all lesbians here.
Here's another lesbian. There we go.
Okay. All right. Fergus, do you have anything?
Listen.
What's your number?
No, don't worry. Sorry, it's getting chaotic.
How was it, Fergus?
Yeah, you were at the game today. You were one of the 10,000.
It was very weird, really awful. It started off fantastic, just meeting Trev and some of the lads beforehand and some normality. Then it took us about a half hour, 45 minutes to get into the ground with the city security. There was no booze in the ground, so 3 hours off the booze, which was
was the security from a safety standpoint or like a anti-KSE standpoint security trying to get all the banners and the balloons off of people?
Well, I took a lot of banners in, but no, and the balloons didn't really have any effect. I don't think it was an anti-KSE. I think it was more insurance for COVID and so on. And it was ticking a box. In the stadium was sterile. The stadium was, to be honest, I was going to leave at halftime. I rang Trev about 20 minutes into the game, and Trev says, "Ferg, I don't like this. This is awful.
Soulless.
Absolutely." And I'd gone to the Vienna game back in December, and I was on my own. I thought, I've watched some absolutely awful football over the years. And I remember like midweek, against Cardiff with my feet freezing on those block concrete sort of grounds that we stand on. And I still didn't mind it because I was standing with my mates. Yeah. I was chatting absolute rubbish with my mates and we were taking the pay out of each other. We were doing that. And I was sitting there on my own. There was 5 seats with plastic bags over them. I couldn't communicate with anybody. I had somebody come up and tell me to put a mask on, which... Listen, I've had extreme experience with COVID over this last winter.
Yes, you have.
Gladly my wife didn't pass away due to it, but was very close to it. But I had some lady come along and tell me to put a mask on, but didn't tell the guy beside me who was his mask on his chin, but his mask on. And I just thought, oh, Jesus Christ. It just
Yeah, I
didn't
heard
make
the
any
stewards were up to their old tricks today, but like even harder.
They weren't awful, and the stewards are only doing what they're told to do. So I don't blame them at all. So I end up going round to see Trev, and there was some empty seats in the clock end, and that was actually even more shameful. That somebody had 2 seats
And
didn't use them. Give them to somebody who wants them. I wanted.
Yeah.
Steve would have gone. You would have gone.
Yeah.
I just thought it was absolutely disgusting. As for the game was turgid. It was average. Aubameyang was really, 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 really poor. Pepe, I'm never going to say he's good.
Come on, Fergus,
waiting for
say it,
that.
baby.
I'm sorry he didn't cost 172 million pounds, but
Listen,
it's the best we got.
I really don't care about his price tag. I just really think I thought
He's been so much better this half of the season, though.
This last 4 or 5 games, you got to take the hat off, and I will say that he's been all right for the last 4 or 5 games.
All right,
and he scores.
He's no Joe Willock, but
he's no Cole Jenkinson, is he, Fergus?
He's got nothing on the corporal. He's got nothing on the corporal. I'm sitting there, I'd say, Noah's kebab shop on the Highbury corner, just by the White Swan. This is the most amazing kebab you ever will get.
You're killing Steve and I right now.
I'm fine. It doesn't bother me. I'm all good. I'm
Fergus,
physically unable to
I'm
care.
jealous of you. I'm jealous of you, Fergus, because you were at the game today. Do you know what I mean? You went, you met up with Hilsey. Hilsey bought the beer, as you said. Amazing.
Honestly, I nearly passed out.
Were you able to avoid Nunny?
Yeah. I didn't go. I didn't go to the Nunner, the Wenger Inn sort of thing. Yeah, no. In fairness, I did consider going at half time because it was that poor of an atmosphere. I've never done it before, but I considered just walking out and meeting friends. Because what today and what this whole 14-month experience has been, it just proves that football's fine. Kevin go out and kick a ball and score a great goal, and we'll all cheer for him. But it's all about standing there, chatting to your mates, having a pint or not having a pint, whatever it is. Sitting here, we do it. We're all doing it virtually. I'm sitting here. You're in DC. Kevin's, I don't know, in
Manchester. I'm in Manchester, and Steve's in somewhere else. It's that connection. It's the connections that matter, isn't it?
Yeah,
totally.
This is going to sound jaded and like self-important and stuff. But I mean, I've been lucky enough to be at Emirates a ton of times to watch games. I would easily, if I didn't have a ticket, or even if I did, I could easily just remain at the pub that we were at beforehand with the people I was there with beforehand, stay there, wait for some people to get back. I mean, the game is literally the smallest portion of the day as far as the enjoyment of the whole experience is to me.
Totally agree. For me, that the game is,
especially when we're playing like this. But.
No. Listen, if we were winning the Champions League, or that would be, it would be.
You want to be in the house for that,
yeah. But it just proves why do we support this crap that we're playing at the minute? Why do we turn up week in, week out? We turn up because, one, we support Arsenal Football Club, regardless through thick and thin. But we turn up for you, and all the others. That's why we turn up. Sorry.
He's got kebab coming out of his mouth.
He's got a kabid.
He's got kabid.
That's a new one, Steve. You're gonna pay the price. But we turn up because it's our friends. This is what we do. My wife said to me this morning. I woke up. I couldn't go to sleep last night. I got to sleep about 12:30, and I woke up just before 6. And I was singing some random songs, and the Lacazette song, and the Sweet
In Ramsgate
Caroline
by Big Steve.
In Ramsgate by Big Steve. Yeah. That one, obviously, Steve. But like the Sweet Caroline. And I gave her a kiss on the back of the cheek and stuff like not that cheek, this cheek. And she went, "Oh, you're in a good mood." And I went, "Yeah, I am." I had such a spring in my step.
Spring in your step, yeah.
A spring in my step I haven't had for 14, 15 months. And, I'm quite resilient and so on. But there is something about turning up. I can go to the pub, but there's something about turning up, going to the football, meeting your mates that nobody will ever understand unless you do it.
Yeah.
Fergus, I've got a question for you.
Go on.
What would you like to see next season? Because obviously you've been there now. You've done this, you've seen how it is now. Obviously, you could get a lot more people in the stadium and still be safe, can't you? What would you like to see next season?
August the 19th or the 9th when it starts, a full stadium, please. I do not want.
we're headed that way with vaccinations and all that, right? I mean,
I'm double jabbed and I'm positive for antibodies and everything else. But look, it's down to people being safe and careful and playing by the rules. The rules will ease. I came down on the tube. I'm outside Highbury and Islington now, and I'm going to go back on the tube. And most of the people who won't wear a mask or won't comply to any rules are the under 30s. They're like your age, Steve. You lot.
Yeah.
The mid 20s. They're not doing what they need to do, and they're the ones who are most susceptible of getting anything at this moment in time.
And they're the ones who point the finger and blame everybody else when it goes and sits up.
And look, listen, whatever. But do what you need to do for not just for you, for your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your aunt. Just do what you need to do. We all need to get through this. If you go back and think about your granddad and your great granddad who lived through the war, they all had to do stuff. This is our World War, and and we got to get through it. I know it sounds very.
Fergus, how many beers have you had today?
5 Guinnesses and 2 Amstels.
Okay, I'm just checking. All right, we're gonna Fergus. We want you to get back on that tube. So put your mask on, get on the tube. We're gonna keep safe. Stevie here because Stevie hasn't gotten a word in edgewise yet. So
Kev, make sure you let Hilsey know that you are surprised he actually bought a beer. I've got a video of him buying beer. It's
Get
unreal.
out! Oh,
honestly.
Geez. If you put it on, tag me in it so I could comment.
I'll do it on the way. Guys,
all right.
take it easy.
Take care. You can see Fergus on Guns and Yellow Ribbons, and you can see him on the tube if you're on the tube right now. So good to see you, mate. All right. And Steve, Steve, not getting a word in edgewise. We're going to bring one more in, and we're gonna do it with Gavin. Melvin, you're on deck very, very shortly. And I apologize if I may have gone out of my order. I'm just distracted right now by this wonderful
I done that.
It's Hildy buying a beer that did it, I think, to me.
Yeah.
I'm getting quite accustomed to talking to you, Kev, which is a great thing, but Hildy buying a beer, that's a once in a lifetime thing.
That's a shock, eh? That's a shock.
So welcome, Gavin. Which family member was it that you wanted to show that you were talking to Super Kev?
Yeah. So, Steve, very, very sorry for interjecting here.
That's good. It's all good.
My mum is going to lose her shit that I actually got to speak to Kevin.
What's your mum's name?
Barbara.
Barbara.
Yeah.
Barbara. Hello, Barbara. Listen, I'm speaking to Gavin here, so I can't. All I could do is send you a little bit of love, and I hope you're well, my darling. Okay.
Oh,
Take good care.
That is so sweet, and I've actually got goosebumps on my arm that you've actually bothered to do that as well. Thank you very much. It's really kind.
No problem.
I like your mom. My mom has no idea who Kevin Campbell is, and I can't stand her over that. I mean, what is she thinking?
My granddad used to sell programs post-war at Highbury, and so I had no choice about being an Arsenal fan. I was just like,
good. Good. That's good. I love that. That's why Steve. That's why Mike brought you on, because you had no choice. You're a Gooner.
Yeah. And what a choice she made. Thank you very much, Mom. Cheers.
And you had no choice but to come on the podcast because you didn't actually dial in. I actually hacked your phone, turned it on, and then brought you onto the podcast.
I still get nervous about coming on here. So thank you very much for letting me come on, by the way.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm glad to have the people to talk to, I mean, but Steve, speaking of people to talk to, you've got something you want to get off your chest, I'm sure, by on this open mic. So are you game focused? Are you already transfer window focused? Are you thinking about Joe Willock?
I mean,
Gabriel's tooth. I mean, you could go with that too if you want to.
Dan brought up the point about Joe Willock, and it's something I probably would have brought up. And he made the point that obviously if he was Newcastle's player and wasn't one of our own, he'd be one of these players that we're looking at going, he's English, he's scoring goals in the Premier League from the midfield, we need him. And I think that's a very good point. I've seen a lot of people.
We wouldn't yet already have the body of evidence about his play for Arsenal with that heavy badge and the people around him. I mean, but we do have.
I mean, for Arsenal, he's not been terrible. I mean, he's looked good in the Europa League. I think he started one game this season, didn't he, in the double pivot next to, I think, El Neni or Xhaka. I can't remember who it was, but Partey was out, and he had a bit of a stinker. He wasn't very good at playing in that holding role. He didn't have the ability to get forward. I can't remember what game it was, but he didn't look the greatest. And I've never
started against Leeds away.
He started in the 10 though, didn't he? He started behind the striker.
He started, Steve. So where again, his positioning, wherever he plays. But if you start, you've got to make an impression.
Yeah. No, and I mean at Arsenal he didn't, and I wasn't a big fan. I mean, on some other podcasts, we've got a running joke when I'm involved, and it's chubby for the kids because I like watching the youth. I think, I think we've got some great youth players. And Joe Willock was the one that I was never too sure about. I was always in an R in, and then he's gone to Newcastle and he's played in a midfield 3. He's played as a 10. He's played wherever they've needed him, and he's been scoring goals and putting in performances, getting assists. And I think, there's one thing I've been seeing around on Twitter and Facebook, and it's, Joe Willock's found his level, let him go and stay at Newcastle. And I just think, how can the same people that are saying Joe Willock's found his level at Newcastle be the same people wanting players from Villa or Brighton or Burnley in the past, or even this season? And I just think if you're scoring goals and doing it consistently in the Premier League, why couldn't he do it? Why can't he come into this team next season and do it?
I think it's a psychological thing about whether you're on your way down, finding your level, or whether you're on your way up. I mean, Emi Buendia, Yves Bissouma, no one's ever seen them play for
another good point. Exactly.
For the big clubs, but we see how they're playing and they look like they're ready to take the next step. Whereas Willock has a slightly different
trajectory.
Yeah, I mean, and so I think the found his level thing is reasonable to say. Whether it's correct or not, we can't know yet until he comes back to this level.
I would like to see him at least get another chance at Arsenal, because that's the whole reason he went out on loan. He went out on loan. Arteta or whoever said, "Show us what you can do," and then we'll reassess it in the summer. Because I don't think anyone's got a solid answer whether or not he's going to be straight out the door or not. And I think if the rumours are true that bids are going to come in for around 20 million, I don't think we should take
for
it.
Willock.
Because I just don't.
20 million is you laugh at.
Who are you going to replace him with for 20 million? You might be able to get a Sander Berge, and he's a completely different player. I think Willock deserves a chance, and I think I think other people have mentioned it in recent weeks, and the talk about Ramsey coming back. I don't think we should be looking that way. I think if we should be looking forward, and we should be looking at trying Willock within this team and giving him a run in pre-season.
Steve, where would you play him?
Right now, I would put him next to Partey if he's going to play. Or, we've seen Arteta change up the system a few times and play with 3 in midfield. And if you're going to play him in 3 in midfield, that's the sort of game that you bring Willock in. If Xhaka stays, you play Partey and Xhaka, and you play Willock just ahead. Yeah.
Like in a 10 role.
Sort of, but without being so far advanced, because he's shown at Newcastle that he can be physical on the ball, and he can win the ball back. And I think that's something that we didn't see in his time at Arsenal. Yeah, I'd just like to think give him a role.
I particularly think it's him growing up. It's him learning his trade. It's really important. Because, when they're at Arsenal, you come through the ranks and you get close to the first team, and there's a certain way.
Yeah.
Truthfully, you don't understand football. You don't realize the level that you're actually at. Yeah. Because you train with the boys every day. When you go to a Newcastle, all of a sudden,
that's it. He's not a youngster at Newcastle. He's a first team player.
Exactly.
He's not seen as somebody that's not quite there yet. At Arsenal, he's seen as somebody that's not quite yet. Newcastle, he's been brought in to do a job, and he's
right.
as you mentioned earlier on, he's been given that freedom and given that role.
And
I think that makes an absolute, it makes a huge difference. And I think,
and then you rip that off of him and bring him back into a situation where he's got to prove himself all over again. The question is, do we trust him to just be able to navigate through that? I mean, to me,
is he going to have to prove himself again, or is Arteta and other coaches going to say, well, actually, Joe, you've done a really good job?
Always, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what you've done anywhere else. You have to prove yourself at Arsenal, right?
Steve, let me just tell you this: you always have to prove yourself. Always.
But
even if he comes back to Arsenal, next season is next season. It's not what you've done. What have you done last season? It's what can you do for me now?
But I mean, he's got that credit in the bank to get those chances more than he was having at the start of this season, is what I mean.
100%. And what happens if he doesn't do it?
If he doesn't do it, then we look. Yeah. I don't think we're going to lose that much value on him. If he goes 6 months and gets 20 games, or we probably won't have 20 games. We're not in Europe now. But if he gets 10 chances before Christmas and he doesn't hit the same sort of levels that he was doing at Newcastle, there's not going to be that much of a discrepancy in the fee that we're going to be able to get to him.
I disagree with that. I think we could get 40s now.
I don't think there's going to be that much. The reason I don't think there's going to be that much, because he hasn't, in 6 months, he hasn't become a bad player. He still has the ability to do what he's doing at Newcastle, is what I mean.
Big Steve, I think, Mike, let me just say this and you could come in after. I don't think it's a matter of a good player becomes a bad player overnight. I don't think it's that at all. The fact of the matter is he's gained momentum now. We're coming to the end of the season. Playing for Newcastle and playing for Arsenal, respectfully,
100%.
Two different things. So when he comes to Arsenal, back to Arsenal, he has to keep his confidence and hit the ground running. If he hits the ground running, brilliant. The loan has served its purpose. But if he doesn't, what do other clubs think? Oh, he had a purple patch and that's it. Because now he's playing with better players at Arsenal, and look, he still can't do it. So it kind of goes against him. And I know it may sound a bit brutal, but every time you cross that white line, you have to prove yourself. Every time. I mean, look what Aubameyang's done for the football club. Aubameyang's been awful this season. Nobody spared him. And that's just the way football is.
And I think from a the normal financial look that I typically have on things is that, we don't sell stocks at that. We buy high and sell low. Always, if we can even sell, it wouldn't kill us. We've bought low or built and sold high twice recently, Iwobi and Chamberlain, and in both of those cases, if we had said, these guys have so much talent, let's bring them back, they weren't gonna get it done at Arsenal, and so we got that money. And and the player didn't pan out to be the next Serge Gnabry type of outcome. So we need to be better at doing that, because then we complain that we let these players go for nothing, or we clearly made a mistake with Maitland-Niles last year. There was an offer on the table for him that looks fairly good now. We said no, we're going to keep you, and then we didn't play him at all, and so now he's probably going to walk for less. We can't keep making that mistake. That said, if the offer doesn't come in for 40 plus for Willock, I'm perfectly happy keeping him and hoping that he pans out here. I'm not saying let's get out at any cost. And I don't know if that was an agreement hand signal, or if you want to jump in, Gavin.
No, that was both. I wanted to say something, and that was an agreement. Sorry.
Have your say, because
I still no idea how this works. But
neither do I. That's the thing that you need to realize. I have no clue either. So
Sophie said something on Twitter. I don't normally go on Twitter that much, but Sophie, I can't remember her surname, and nor can I pronounce it. So
Nicolau.
Okay, right. Very sorry, Sophie. But she said that Willock's stock was really, really high, and why not cash in? And as much as I love Willock, and I think he's brilliant, we need the money to reinvest in the team, and possibly, like, we could reinvest it somewhere else, maybe. But if we're going to lose so many midfielders, maybe we need him. So it's like
that's my thought process behind it. Is if we was to sell him, depending on the price and depending on who else stays or goes, who do we replace him with? Because let's say we get 30 million. A 30 million midfielder is probably going to be Basuma, and the talk is we're getting him anyway. So then if Xhaka then goes and Ceballos then leaves, we've then got Basuma, Partey, and El Neni. Yeah, we've got Aziz, yes, but again, Aziz has got to prove himself. He's got to come through the ranks. He's gonna take time. He's not going to be thwarted.
Well said, Steve. Well said. Yeah,
and he's not going to have those Europa League games to do it in. Unfortunately,
another thing, exactly. People said about Camavinga and all these other players. Yeah, but if we're going to get a Camavinga, then we're probably not going to get a Basuma as well. Because Camavinga I think he's only young, but he's going to want first team football. He's going to want to be one of the first names on the team sheet, just like Saliba was 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So the problem with the midfield, and as you mentioned earlier on, I think El Neni would be a good option to keep in the squad, because what are we going to get for El Neni? 5 million? Maybe 10. Like there's not going to be a lot. He puts in a shift. If we're away at Scarborough or Scunthorpe or wherever in the EFL Cup,
in the second round of the EFL Cup,
he's the perfect sort of player to come in. He's an experienced head. He plays for that badge every time. He may not be the most skillful player, but he plays for that badge every single time. And that's the sort of player you bring in and say, right, you go and do a job, and maybe bring in an Aziz next to him. But you've got to have a good balance. And if Xhaka's going to go, I don't think we should sell Willock. If Xhaka does go and we bring in a Basuma, I think Willock's got to be there for when we do have those games where we want to play a 3 in midfield, or Smith Rowe's out, and so we're playing a different system. I think we've got to have one eye on that as well.
I do have one more question before Kevin goes, or you tell me to go, which is a question that I didn't actually think I'd be asking him. Because I didn't think I would speak to him. Anyway, the sycophantic over the way. So Aubameyang is really struggling in this system. In my eyes, he is. It's not his fault. He's not become rubbish overnight. It's just the way we play is not suiting him a lot. How would you have dealt with that? Because I've seen you play live, and you were bloody brilliant. That also sycophantic, but I'm really sorry. But anyway,
Gav, I'm going to come back to what you just said about Willock, Steve. I'll come back to that, but I'll answer I'll answer what you've just said, Gav, because that is a really interesting one. Over the last, not this season included, but the previous 2.5 seasons, when Arsenal are playing pretty well, Aubameyang has played down the middle, on the left, and scored goals. He's challenged for. He jointly won the Golden Boot, and then he was challenging for the Golden Boot on a couple of occasions. This season, when we're not playing well as a squad, Aubameyang, his goal output has dropped. His goal output drops. And when his goal output drops, Arsenal's league position does what? Drops.
Fair one. Yeah.
Why? Because it's not only that we rely on Aubameyang, like we have been doing for the last 2.5 years, but we don't score enough goals elsewhere. We have solely relied on Aubameyang's goals, 20+ goals, to keep us, and that still hasn't got us to where we wanted to go. That still hasn't got us in the Champions League. This is the problem. We can't keep relying on Aubameyang, expecting his goals to get us there, and it still hasn't got us there.
So how would you have played or dealt with playing in this team at its current form?
the team hasn't been good enough. So whether it's 3 year ago, 2 year ago, 1 year ago, now, as a football club and as a team and as a squad, we haven't been good enough. We haven't created half as much as what we usually create. And when we did create it, Aubameyang missed them. Mm-hmm. So again, all these dominoes are falling against us. But what we've got to do, it's great to see Nicola Pepe now. Nicola Pepe steps up. He's get double figures of goals. Lacazette's got double figures of goals. So you imagine if we've got Pepe doing that, Lacazette doing that, and Aubameyang scoring is normal, we'd have qualified for the Champions League.
Yeah.
Our problem is fitting it all together. It's been difficult to fit all together because the pennies dropped with Pepe earlier on this year only, that he's got to do the extra on the training pitch. Now that he's been doing the extra on the training pitch, you're starting to see him a lot more consistent. You see him scoring goals like we saw in the videos before he signed, where he's running at people
on the left and the right.
Yeah, he's got it. We know he's got it. But it's that consistency of performance which we haven't had as a team. And that's the problem, and that's the conundrum. We've got gaps in our squad that need filling. The midfield is a huge one. Because
definitely going back to the midfield.
If we don't win the ball back, other teams get out easy. Mm-hmm. And you need two dogs in that midfield. You need Thomas Partey, and you need another energetic. That's why I say Basuma, because if we're going to go closing down, we need players who are going to get after them, win the ball.
Arguably, Vieira wasn't as good as without Partey, right?
Well, look, we've seen Vieira. Vieira makes the person he's with better. So let's have it right. Partey and Vieira was incredible. But when Partey left and Vieira was there, you could put Gilberto in there. You could put whoever you want in there. Edu was good in there. With Vieira. Because why? Because they knew what they needed. All they needed to do was do that, get that, and look at. I'll give it to Bergkamp. I'll give it to Pires. I'll give it to Lundberg. I'll give it to Henry. I'll give it to. They had that in abundance. Soon as they turn it over, you knew you were in trouble. Our problem is, it takes time for us to win it. It really takes time for us to win the ball because we're not as energetic as we should be in the midfield. But I'm going to get back to your point, Big Steve.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
No, I'm going to get back to Big Steve about Willock. How about when Willock comes back? Willock has tasted first-team football, starting. Maybe he comes back and says, Arteta, if I'm not starting, I want out. Because
I could see him pushing for a move to Newcastle.
Because I know what it feels like to play, and he'll be a legend at Newcastle now.
Yeah, they love him. They love him.
He'll be a legend there now.
They're singing "We Want You to Stay." I think that today.
Yeah. Exactly, of course, and why not? He knows he's going to get respect. He knows he's going to start at time, most of the time.
Yeah,
but he's got that confidence. At Arsenal, it's a harder one to win over because his track record is you've been there, you haven't really done it.
Some people prefer being the big fish in a little pond as opposed to being a smaller fish in a big pond.
Perfect example.
We've seen that with Zaha. We've seen it with Scott Sinclair's the best example I could ever think of. He should have stayed at, what was it, Swansea or Cardiff?
Celtic. Oh.
Before Swansea.
And then he moves to City and he's anonymous there. And I just, that was too soon, too fast for him. Some people just, and honestly, I looked at Brendan Rodgers as being the same thing from a managerial standpoint. Big fish in a little pond is better than being, for some people. You just, don't have that quality to be a big fish in a big pond like some people do. And if I'm Willock, I'm much happier in Newcastle than I am trying to prove myself at Arsenal. But again, it's everyone's wired differently. If he grew up and through his whole youth career was just dead set on making it at Arsenal, then he's gonna feel as confident as ever that he can right now, and he's gonna give it his best effort. But if he's liking kind of the big fish little pond type of thing, then Newcastle might be the perfect place for him. But they're gonna have to pay us more than 20 million though for him.
Yeah.
Oh, massively. Yeah.
I mean, all the things that normally, I mean, they got to pay us more for him than Sheffield United paid for Rian Brewster. I mean, let's just put it that way. That's how I measure everything.
Hey, do you know what, Mike, Steve, Gav? This is the funny thing. Because Willock has done the business now at Newcastle, we should be able to name our price.
Yeah.
We never hold anyone else over a barrel like we do.
He's made them so much money. He's made sure they've stayed in the Premier League, played a big part in it.
They'll get his whole fee back in. They'll get his whole fee back in shirts, right? I mean, that's how it works.
Pay us. That's right, Mike. Pay us, Magic.
Melvin, welcome to the podcast. It's good to see you again. I think the last time you were on, I was in the middle of an 8-hour bender in the middle of the night before the I forget what game that even was a couple of weeks ago. But we're gonna close out by having you join us and joining Kev. And Kev hasn't told me he needs to leave yet, so I'm not gonna ask him to.
Gavin, good evening.
Melvin, what's on your mind?
Hello.
No, I just continue with the Willock thing. I've been dead wrong when he was at the Arsenal playing for us. I didn't think he quite had it because my criticism of him was he was very powerful. He could run with the ball. He had plenty of energy backwards and forwards. But I didn't think he made the right decisions. I thought when he got into good positions, he had people outside of him, and he decided to go along, not go alone. And I thought his decision making was very poor. But he's done so well, and certain clubs suit certain players. And it's no good saying we're going to keep him, and then we can get 30 million, but we keep him because if he doesn't make it with us, we've thrown more money out the window. But the funny thing is, if you'd have said to Newcastle 6 months ago, spend 30 million on a player and you will definitely stay up, they would have definitely spent the money, wouldn't they? It'd been good money, right? And not only that, you got him for the rest of his career till his contract runs out, rather. So it's been fantastic for him. I'm so pleased for him. Whether he comes back or not, I don't know. I don't know whether, we'll have to play 3 in midfield if we do keep him, I suppose. But I think our midfield is so important to this club because without our midfield, our forwards can't do anything. Without our midfield, our defence can't defend as well. It's so important. We've got to really have top quality midfielders. And today, especially first half, I thought Partey was unbelievable. Yeah. You saw why we paid the money for him. He was head and shoulders above anybody else on that pitch.
That touch and that shot that just dipped, almost got in the second half. I was rooting for that so much. I wanted him to just break his duck before the end of the season, but didn't get the chance.
I'm just happy that he got a shot on target. If I'm honest,
he got
a shot on target and one that was just a little bit wide. I know Amanda was up at Clock End Upper, and she was, she had brought a helmet to the game, knowing that Partey was going to be shooting towards her for the first half. There's a couple more topics I want to make sure to hit in the next 5 minutes because we're going to wrap it up in 5 minutes. 2 of them are super quick. One of them is congratulations to my quote unquote second club, Sutton United.
Oh, Sutton, yeah,
is a member of the Football League now. For the first time, I believe, ever. Automatic promotion from the Vanarama Conference League.
My second club haven't had a good week, as you can see up there. A bit of
who's your second club? Leicester City?
No, Sunderland.
Oh, geez.
Oh God. Oh dear.
Yeah,
did
very
they get relegated
yesterday.
Again?
Huh?
Did they get relegated again? I haven't been following.
No, didn't get up.
They missed it.
But again, years of being run by an American owner that doesn't have a clue and doesn't have a care for the club, unfortunately. But we'll save that for another pod.
You could have left the first word out. So yeah, there's Sutton. Congratulations to them. I actually met a bunch of people going to games down there that are just salt of the earth, great people. That is their team. That's not their local team, and then they have a Premier League team. That is their team.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy for them. I hope that they can build off of this and don't just, become fodder for, Northampton Towns and all those teams to jump on. But the other is Gooners versus Cancer. Started on Tuesday. for this year. Thursday was a great day, being able to talk about it in front of Rebecca Lowe and you, Kev, and Lee Dixon. I mean, people have been so helpful to that, and obviously the Highbury squad is a massive friend and partner to us. That that we really do everything that we can to help each other out, and I truly appreciate your friendship on behalf of Soph and Amanda as well. We're doing a May only, so there's now 8 days left. We're doing an early special raffle for a team signed 2020-21 home shirt signed by the entire first team for this year. You'll be entered into all of our normal things that give you the opportunity to win things between now and October. But if you do it before the end of May, you will get a specific entry as well into this drawing, which we're going to do after May 31st. And it's going to be a great year. We're really going to take this to the next level. But I just want to thank you guys. Some of you that are in this room have donated already, and obviously helped us get the awareness out. And Kev, I'll be asking you for a favor that we can use as a raffle prize this season again. I gave you the year off last year, but I'll definitely be coming to you again. The third thing I wanted to
help you, Mike. Yeah, no problem.
The last thing I wanted to get everyone's opinion on, and it was asked earlier in the chat, but Kevin, obviously having played with the man, having spent a lot of time over the years with the man, Steve Bould. We started earlier in the podcast with a long time supporter, Lawrence, just absolutely disgusted at the way that he's been treated. Now, I couldn't really get too much from him, the way it was done versus the fact that he was moved on. I mean, you can't hold on to legends forever if they don't seem to be getting the job done in the position that they hold. But as a teammate of his, I mean, has Arsenal done him wrong here in any way?
You can say yes, but 30 years he's been at the club, in and around, connected to the club. Don't forget, Steve Bould was the youth team coach who brought Jack Wiltshire and those guys through. Yep. So he's been at the club a hell of a long time.
Run with the youth team. He was the youth team and then got brought up to the senior setup to.
That's my whole point. He was with the youth team and then he got moved up. He obviously was assistant to Arsene Wenger, after Pat Rice, etc. And then regime change. So he's seen virtually all the positions coming up through the club. And then he took a step back with Xhaka and with Smith Rowe, etc. So he was helping them. So when people talk about legacies that are left, I'm not saying you cannot get rid of a legend, because 30 years is a long time. Maybe he needs a break, but maybe it's the way that it happens.
And that always seems to be this current Arsenal's thing.
Regime,
the way that it happens.
Yeah.
The way that the redundancies were done, the timing of them, the way that contract negotiations with Aaron Ramsey were handled. It just always seems to be that whatever way they go about it, it's the wrong way. It's not the Arsenal way.
Yeah, but Mike, here's the other thing. We don't know if it's the right or wrong way. All we know is this is a legend who's been at the club with 30 years in, who we believe has been given the sack because we don't think it's the right way to do it that way. The new guy who comes in might elevate even higher. We don't know. They might have somebody in mind who is a guru and could do all these different things. But for us, that status of 30 years in means a lot. And the way you look after, the way you put them out for gardening leave is really important to us.
Yeah, I think possibly the press release could have been handled a little bit differently, surely.
Do you think that they meant for this to get out the way that? I mean, do you think that it got out earlier, or did they put out a press release?
It was a bit of a faux pas the way they did. Hold on.
I got people with bells coming onto the podcast now, Kevin.
It's unbelievable.
The hotel bell industry has I mean, it's too late to get your investment in on the hotel bell industry because it's already been run up.
Yep. I think possibly they could have worded it. He either wants to retire or he's part of ways, or been a little bit more genuine about it rather than he's got the sack.
Yeah. Have we heard from Bould? I mean, has anyone heard
No.
from him?
No.
Steve Bould is way too classy to even speak about.
He's not. One thing he's not going to do. He's not going to speak bad about the club.
No, he won't, will he?
No,
Really
he's not going to speak bad. You know, he's gonna take his medicine and he's gonna walk. That's what he's gonna do. Because if you get
kind of
caught
a
up,
Lundberg type of departure as well, where you
you just take it and move. And he might put out a statement, and the statement's gonna tick all the right boxes. Had a wonderful time at the football club, and you know, I've helped with certain players, and it's been an absolute pleasure. But he's not even going to do what's the point in even discussing the hierarchy?
No, absolutely.
There's no point.
Also, the work he's done there, he knows that he's done really well. So he doesn't need to say anything.
Yeah, and the things that he hasn't succeeded in very much were really not down to him, in my opinion. I mean, the fact that he was not really able to affect and impact our first team as its assistant coach sitting next to Arsene Wenger, from everything that I've been told by everyone who would be in a position to know, is that he just wasn't asked. He wasn't given the opportunity. He was neutered in that position.
Yeah.
And, maybe differently, Kevin, but
Mike, yeah. He got an opportunity. Could you remember where we played Manchester City away?
Yeah.
It's with the Santics and we beat them. Great defensive display.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, that was the only time Steve Bould could take the training.
Whoa.
What? That can't be.
That I'm telling you, that was the only time where he could set it up and drill them. And
we'd heard that multiple times, that he literally just wasn't given the opportunity
given the opportunity because Arsene Wenger. Remember, Arsene Wenger believes in what he believes in. Yeah. He's the manager, and they play a certain way and they do things a certain way. But if you remember, before then, Arsenal defensively were all over the place.
That's right. Yeah.
And then they turned in that performance, and everybody was like, "Where's this come from?" Being able to defend and then counter-attack and catch teams on the break. But then Arsene Wenger goes back into Arsene Wenger mode. I'm the manager. This is what we do. And then Steve Bould has to go back into being his assistant.
Yeah.
Well, Melvin, I'm going to give you the last word today, because we're going to wrap it up. And having been brought on late, I wanted you, if there's anything else you wanted to get out there or ask Kevin about, or ask Gavin about, where did he buy the bell? How much did it cost?
It's actually my wife's bell.
No, I just think it's always been frustrating being an Arsenal supporter over the years, but this is the most frustrated I've been all the years I've supported them, because we're not that far away. We've got a nucleus of really, really good players, and on the peripheral of it, there's players that really aren't quite good enough with the other 5 or 6 players that we got. And if we kept messing around, we'd be in the same spot next year. We've got to actually bite the bullet, get rid of quite a few players that aren't good enough. And don't say, well, they're only squad players, because you know as well as I do, at some stage they will play for you. Something will happen there, and that's not good enough. We can't afford to have too many, the old-fashioned term, passengers on the pitch. You can perhaps get away with one sometimes, and somebody's injured and he's got to play because he's a very important player. I mean, most players, I believe, you'll tell me if I'm right, Kevin, play with injuries the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Some slightly worse than others, right? And you might have to do that, but you cannot afford in this Premiership, this level, to play with more than one, what I call passenger. And we do play some games with 3 or 4. I know it's quite brutal to say that, but you sit there, you think, no, this is 2 or 3 of these boys today. They're not doing it. And you didn't expect them to do it. We've got to get away with that. Not playing in Europe might do us a favour, because perhaps we can make our squad smaller. So we can concentrate, instead of doing thin, making it much thicker and more quality, the squad. That's what I would love to happen.
Replace 7 or 8 guys with 3 or 4 guys that will make a massive difference, on and off the pitch for this club, and we're fine. We don't have to worry about 28 people being available.
Exactly. That's if we do it this summer. I think that every time we go, this is very important. I think we've got to the top of the hill for importance now. I think this is very, very important. Not so much who we buy, which is important, but who we get rid of. Because I thought last summer we had a chance of getting rid of a couple of players. I know he got rid of some, but he had a chance, and he suddenly seemed to change his mind. You know, when these players are not antiques, they don't always get better year on year on. And you know, if you're not good enough one year, unless you're a youngster, and they should be given every opportunity. If you've been there years, you've played in the first team for years, and you haven't quite done it, something's going to tell you perhaps you're not going to do it next year. So I'd love to give those players a chance to play elsewhere. If we get money, fantastic. Make the war chest better and go after players that can do something, make a difference on the field week in, week out for us. That's what I hope for.
Nice.
Well, I think we're all in the same boat, Melvin. Well said. I mean, the next 3 months. I mean, we'll have plenty to talk about this summer. I'm not planning on going on a 3-month hiatus with the podcast because I'm sure there'll be some stuff to talk about. And so, just excellent stuff, guys. It's a weird day. Again, I'm mentally and physically exhausted. I'm going to go take a nap right now.
Mike.
When I wake up, I hope we have new signings.
Mike.
Matt, I'm sorry. It's Magic. I don't answer the mic anymore.
Magic, I have to go now.
Okay, well, that's good because we're all going to get going.
Kevin, absolutely wonderful to meet you. Thank you very much. And
No
also
problem.
everybody else.
And say, hey, give my regards to Barbara.
Honestly,
That sounds like a song. Give my regards to Barbara.
Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you so much for letting this happen because my mum's gonna be over the moon.
Hey, and I'll clip the sections out where Kevin was talking to her, and I'll send them to you, bud. So just
Thank you. It's really kind.
DM me at the pod account, and we'll
Take care,
we'll
Big
get those
Steve.
Take care, mate.
Kevin, cheers. Big Steve,
Take care.
Melvin, take care.
And remember,
Magic.
Kevin, keep well. Steve.
it's 5
Bye.
undefeated.
Good night. One question, sorry. Where's the link to your charity?
Oh yes,
it's-
that's what I was going to ask as well.
Oh,
Twitter.
perfect. It's
It's all over
Gooners.
Twitter, isn't it?
GoonersVCancer.com will take you directly to the leukemia lymphoma page, and all your questions will be answered there. And you can always reach out to me anytime through our Twitter account, whether Gooners V Cancer, or at the Gooners Pod. Thank you, Kev.
All right.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Melvin.
No
Thank
problem.
you, Gavin. Thanks everyone else who was with us.
Take care, Magic. Love to the family.
Take care.
Thank you. You too as well. And for the final post-game time this season, come on, you Gooners.
It's a thing.